Hi there, are you a realtor who works with sellers? Then this video is for you. Today I'm going to share with you 4 email templates that you can use in communicating with your sellers. Let's get started. If this is your first time visiting my channel, thanks so much for stopping by. My name is Carrie Jonicas and I am the proud owner and a transaction manager at Amplified Transaction Services. If you would like to learn more information about how we can help you, you can visit our website at www.amplifiedtransactions.com. Let's head on over to the computer and I can share with you those 4 email templates. If you would like a copy of these email templates, feel free to reach out to me at info@amplifiedtransactions.com, or you can send me a text at 815-293-7701. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you the 4 email templates that you can use in your real estate business for your sellers. Number 1 is the next steps for listing a home. So this email just says, I'm excited to move forward with you, getting your home listed. Below are the next steps and key dates to ensure everything goes smoothly. So we have professional photography. I assume that you're not taking photos yourself, so you'd want to put the date and the time that the photographer will be there, and then also a few things to ensure that they are ready when the photographer gets there. So no garbage cans in the front of the house, ensuring the garage doors are closed, and keeping the cars out of the driveway and from the front of the home so the photographer can get a great shot, and then making sure to tidy up all of the rooms and remove any personal items or clutter where possible. If you use a company to install the sign, you can put this information here. However, you also might want to just tell them that you'll be installing the lockbox on that day, which will allow for the agents to access once we go live on the market. And then your target listing go live date. So on this day, your listing will officially go live on the MLS and major real estate websites. Once it's active, I'll send you a link so you can review how it appears online. Expect an increase in activity as buyers and agents begin scheduling showings. If you have any questions, let us know. So you can, of course, customize this, but this is a great email stepping stone to get you started to making sure that things are organized and you're able to communicate appropriately and make sure that the seller knows what the next steps are. The next email is a weekly update on the home sale. So you're going to send a weekly email to your sellers, just telling them what's happened in that past week. Now, you could create a website with all of this information in it that might be a little bit more visually pleasing, but if you have maybe a seller who's not really great with technology, you might want to just send this email where it's all in one place in the email instead of having them go to another place. But I really do like the listing websites as well. So with that, I do have a video that I created if you want to check that out. So this email says, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to provide you with an update on your home's activity over the past week and outline our plan going forward. This is where you can show the showings and then any feedback that you have received. And then if there's a common theme, you might want to mention that there. And then as far as the online activity, you want to go and look at those online websites and give them what the activity looks like. You can also put in your MLS, how many times it's been viewed, how many times it's been saved, if your MLS system has that capability to show you what that looks like. And then planning for the week ahead, telling them what the steps are that you're going to do in order to get the home under contract, essentially. So we are going to talk about continuing to market the home, mention any new strategies. If you feel like adjusting pricing, refreshing photos, running targeted ads, anything like that you think that you need to do in order to get the home sold. And then if you want to discuss more about repositioning the listing, again, based on the market trends or any feedback, this would be a good place to put in that area. And then I also say, this is a great email to send out, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be communicating verbally with your clients. So a good idea would either be to send this first and then call the clients to go over the email, or even schedule a time to talk to them weekly so you can go over the details. But I always like having everything in writing. So just sending the email and letting it go, I don't think is necessarily the best way to go about it. But of course, this is your business and you can do what works best for you. But I do think it's something that does need to have a phone conversation about if you're going to be discussing, changing the price or doing any type of new strategies to get their home sold. So this is a great thing to send out, but I think you need to schedule a call with the clients to go over the information. And the next email is exciting news, your home is under contract. So now you've gone through the listing period and now we're under contract. So this introduction email is one that you would send if you do not have a transaction coordinator. If you have a transaction coordinator, your transaction coordinator will typically send out this email, which will sound a little bit different than coming from you. So this email coming from you, we do want to keep it short and sweet instead of being very lengthy. I know a lot of agents like to give as much information as possible to eliminate any questions. However, that can become overwhelming for the buyers or the sellers on the other side of the transaction who are really there's so much information coming at them at once when we go under contract. So it's better to just keep kind of like a little snapshot of what you are wanting to convey. And then as you go along in the transaction, sending follow-up emails on each of those pieces. So this email says, great news, we are officially under contract on your home. I wanted to take a moment and congratulate you and also walk you through the next steps in the process. The next steps. Earnest money. The buyer will be submitting their earnest money deposit of whatever the amount is to either the title company or the escrow office or attorney's office by this deadline. You might want to add some more information in there. For instance, in some areas, the earnest money is due by 6 p.m. And when the earnest money is due that late in the day, it is very rare that I would get a receipt from that attorney's office until the very next day. So I want to make sure that the clients understand this so they're not waiting to receive confirmation that earnest money had been deposited. They don't hear and then they panic. So you might want to adjust this a little bit depending on what your area. And then 2, home inspection. The buyer has the right to conduct an inspection, which is scheduled for whatever time it's scheduled for. Of course, if it hasn't been scheduled, you'll just put in there maybe that the buyer will be scheduling their home inspection and they will be reaching out through either Broker Bay or Showing Time, or you'll be hearing from me when the buyer wants to schedule that if the agent has to schedule through you. And then for the appraisal, the buyer's lender will order an appraisal to determine the home's value. This usually happens within the next however many days. I'll keep you posted once we have a date. Now, you might want to add, some different information depending on, again, your area. Maybe there's a due date on the appraisal. You might want to add that in there. And then when the actual appraisal happens, you're going to be sending out more information. I also have an email template that goes out after the home inspection has been scheduled, so the seller can prepare for that home inspection so they know what to expect, know that they probably should leave the home. Just going into details again with the appraisal, going over what an appraisal is, what happens with the appraisal, when we'll get that report back. So there never really is a question, because as things are happening throughout the transaction, these emails will be going out to them to explain the process. And then title and closing preparation. The title company will begin preparing the necessary documents for closing. Of course, if you're using a closing attorney, then you would want to change out that language. And then as far as the closing date, putting in the closing date, and then again, we want to keep this very minimal. So we are going to be sending additional information throughout the process. So you just want to keep it short and sweet so they have kind of a little snapshot about what's going to be happening, but you don't want to overwhelm them with a lot of details about everything that's going to be happening. Throughout the process, I'll keep you updated every step of the way. If you have any questions in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out. We're getting closer to the finish line. So since you've been working with them, from the listing and now until now, this helps them to kind of get through all of the, we've been through that listing process. It helps them to kind of be like, okay, we're getting there, one more step, we're getting through all of these details. This email keeps it short and simple, but also tells them what to expect of what's going to happen. Of course, you might want to adjust this as you go along. You might have different things that are happening in your area. You might have village inspections that are required, so you might want to add that in there. But again, the goal here is to keep it short and sweet, because I have found, even as a transaction coordinator, when I'm sending information over, the clients get very overwhelmed right when we go under contract, and they miss a lot of things that are in that email. So if you put too much information in that email, the client is going to miss it. So better to keep it short and sweet and then send follow-up emails after the fact. And finally, our last email is our 1 week to closing email. So this just says that we're 1 week away from closing. Congratulations. As we approach the finish line, I want to make sure that you know what to expect in the coming days. The final walkthrough, utilities and moving, closing day details. This definitely probably will need to be customized for your area. So some title companies or some attorneys' offices do require more than one identification. So they might request a photo ID and then another form of identification that is not a picture ID, like a credit card or, a gym membership or something that has your ID on it. Sometimes they like to have that. So those are things that you might want to customize. And then the proceeds from the sale, if they're receiving the proceeds in a wire, you might want to customize that as well to make sure that they're bringing their wiring instructions to the closing, so they can ensure that their funds can get wired. And again, you might have the closing day might be where the buyer signs at one time, the seller signs at another time. So that might be a great place to make sure that the client knows that. A lot of times clients will move from a different state and they're not familiar with what the process is in that state, and they just have like an assumption in their mind. So it's good to iron out those details in this email. If you would like a copy of any of these emails where you can easily copy and paste them into your Gmail templates, feel free to give me a shout on my email at info@amplifiedtransactions.com. I hope this information was helpful for you. If it was, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like to stay in the loop on all things real estate and organizing your real estate business, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one.